Action step 5 is to identify what web content and mobile apps your public entity has. Another way to think of this is that you need to take inventory of all of your digital assets that are covered under this web rule. And as you go through this exercise, if you are familiar with the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, you will quickly realize why the compliance deadline is quickly approaching, whether you have over 1 year or 2 years from the date this video was recorded. What's extra nice is in this section, there are some questions to help get you started. And there are several bullet points. What these bullet points do is they prompt you to start thinking about all of the digital assets that you need to make WCAG 2.1 AA conformant. So let's read through these bullet points. How many websites does my public entity have? How many web pages are within those websites? What types of content are on those web pages? HTML content, PDFs, word processor files, videos, images. So what I like about this start is that the guide starts to make you think about everything that might be covered. And so it goes from something as simple as thinking of, well, we just have our main website and we need to work on that. And then to start thinking, well, what other websites do we have? And even if we don't have another website, what about the different pages that are on our website? And then beyond just the pages, what content is on those pages? So are we linking out to Word documents? Are we linking out to PDFs? What about the videos on these pages? What about the images? What about the text? And so on. So this should prompt you to start thinking about, well, all of the different digital assets that you have and all of the content and everything that you need to work on to make WCAG 2.1 AA conformant ahead of the compliance deadline. Let's continue with the bullet points. Does my public entity post on social media? What social media platforms does it use? What types of content does it post on social media? Are there any other places on the web that my public entity posts? So think about other platforms that you might be using. What mobile apps does my public entity use? Are those apps created and operated in-house, or are they operated by third parties? Here, prompting you to think about whether you're actually in control of these apps and what you need to do for accessibility, whether it's working with a contractor or someone else, or that you can work on it directly yourself. Do you have access to improve the accessibility of these apps? Continuing on, who posts on my public entity's website? Are there any places where members of the public can post? What third-party vendor content does my state or local government provide or make available? So here, these questions are really good because they're getting us to think about the content and the assets that are covered by this web rule, and they're getting us to realize that we need to make everything accessible, obviously with respect to the requirements, and also keeping in mind the exceptions, which we are going to cover in the next video, which is for action step 6. But beyond this, we need to take inventory. And so we need to know exactly what assets and what content that we need to make WCAG 2.1 AA conformant. So this list of questions gives you a really good idea on what you need to start thinking about and adding to your inventory list. So that's going to do it for action step 5. We are going to continue on in the next video with action step 6.